On a freezing December night in Miami, Sophia Morrison sits alone on cathedral steps in a wedding dress she never wore down the aisle. Betrayed hours before her wedding, her fiancé exposed with her own sister, she's lost everything: wealth, security, her future. Then Ethan Blackwood appears, Miami's most feared man, her ex-fiancé's greatest enemy. He doesn't offer threats. He offers shelter. What begins as one broken night becomes a dangerous choice that will ignite a war, unravel years of lies, and force Sophia to decide who she really is. Like this video, comment what city you're watching from, and follow this story to the end. Yes. The December cold in Miami was unnatural. It cut through the humid air like something foreign, something wrong. Sophia Morrison sat on the stone steps of St. Augustine Cathedral, her wedding dress pooling around her like spilled milk. The fabric was Italian silk, custom-fitted, worth more than most people made in 6 months. Now it felt like a costume from someone else's life. Her phone buzzed for the 47th time. She'd stopped counting after 30. The screen lit up with her mother's name, then went dark, then her father's, then Oliver's, then numbers she didn't recognize, wedding planner probably, or the venue coordinator, or one of the 300 guests who'd showed up expecting a spectacle. They'd gotten one. Just not the kind anyone planned. Sophia pulled her knees to her chest, not caring that the dress would wrinkle, that the hem dragged through dirt and old cigarette butts. Her feet were bare. She'd kicked off the heels somewhere between the bridal suite and the side exit, leaving them like glass slippers for a prince who'd turned out to be something else entirely. The cathedral bells struck 9. 3 hours ago, she was supposed to be walking down that aisle. 2 hours ago, she was supposed to be married. 1 hour ago, she was supposed to be at the reception, cutting cake, dancing, smiling for photos that would hang in her parents' house for the rest of their lives. Instead, she'd walked into this groom's preparation room and found Oliver with his pants around his ankles, and her sister Elena bent over the antique desk their grandmother had donated to the church 15 years ago. Sophia laughed. The sound came out sharp and broken, echoing off the empty street. A car passed, slowing down, the driver craning to look at the girl in the wedding dress sitting on church steps like some kind of runaway bride cliché. She didn't look back. Her purse was somewhere inside. Her phone was at 6% battery. Her wallet, her keys, her entire life. All of it behind doors she'd never walk through again. The only thing she'd grabbed was her clutch, which held exactly nothing useful: lipstick, a compact mirror, and the sapphire earrings her grandmother left her. She should call someone. But who? Her mother, who'd spent 18 months planning this wedding like it was a military campaign. Her father, who'd negotiated the merger, because that's what it was, really. A merger between Morrison Holdings and the Hale family's commercial real estate empire. Her friends, most of whom were Oliver's friends first, who'd probably already heard. Who were probably already taking sides? Elena, her baby sister. 23 years old, still living at home, still playing the role of the sweet one, the easy one, the daughter who never caused problems. Sophia's hands curled into fists, silk bunching between her fingers. She'd known something was off. For months, maybe longer. The way Oliver looked at his phone during dinner, the business trips that stretched longer than they should, the sex that felt perfunctory, scheduled, like another item on his calendar between conference calls and golf games. But she'd told herself it was wedding stress, cold feet, normal. She'd told herself a lot of things. You planning to freeze to death out here? Or is this some kind of performance art? Sophia's head snapped up. A man stood at the bottom of the steps, hands in the pockets of a black overcoat. Tall, dark-haired, maybe mid-30s. He had the kind of face that looked carved rather than born, sharp jaw, dark eyes, a mouth that seemed more accustomed to giving orders than smiling. Go away, Sophia said. Normally I would. He climbed 2 steps, slow, deliberate. But I've got a thing about women in wedding dresses sitting alone in the cold. Call it a character flaw. I'm fine. You're barefoot in 40-degree weather, wearing about $10,000 worth of fabric that's currently soaking up gutter water. You're a lot of things. Fine isn't one of them. Sophia stared at him. He didn't look away. Most people did when she used that look, the one her mother called Ice Queen mode, the one that had gotten her through boarding school and sorority rush, and every country club function where someone's drunk uncle got handsy. This man just stared back, patient, like he had all night. "I know who you are," Sophia said finally. "Yeah?" "Ethan Blackwood." Something flickered across his face. Not surprise. Something else. "Guilty. You're dangerous. Also guilty. Oliver told me about you." "I bet he did." Ethan climbed another step. "What did he say?" "That you're a criminal, that you run half the underground operations in South Florida, that you're the kind of man my family should never associate with." "Sounds about right." He tilted his head. "So what's the Morrison princess doing sitting on church steps instead of dancing at her reception?" "There is no reception. I noticed, passed by the venue on my way here, a lot of confused-looking people in expensive suits standing around drinking champagne they probably already paid for." He paused. "Want to tell me what happened?" "Why would I tell you anything?" "Because I'm a stranger and strangers are safe. Because I'm dangerous, which means you don't have to worry about me judging you or running back to your family with gossip. Because you're sitting here talking to me instead of telling me to leave, which means some part of you wants to talk." He shrugged. "Or don't. But you're shivering, and I've got a car with heat, and I'm guessing you don't have anywhere else to go." Sophia wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she had plenty of places to go, plenty of people who'd take her in, plenty of options that didn't involve getting into a car with a man her father had explicitly forbidden her from ever speaking to. But her teeth were chattering, and he was right. She had nowhere to go. "I found my fiancé with my sister," she heard herself say, 2 hours before the wedding, in the room where he was supposed to be getting ready. Ethan's expression didn't change. "That's unfortunate timing." That's one way to put it. "What'd you do?" "Walked out." "Just like that?" Just like that." Sophia laughed again, that same broken sound. "I didn't scream, didn't throw anything, didn't make a scene. I just looked at them and walked out the side door, left my purse, left my shoes, left 300 people waiting for a wedding that wasn't going to happen." "Good." She blinked. "What?" "Good," Ethan repeated. "You walked away. That takes guts. I ran away. There's a difference." "No, there isn't." He moved closer, near enough that she could see the silver threading through his dark hair, the scar along his jawline that his beard didn't quite hide. Running away would have been staying, smiling, pretending nothing happened, going through with it because that's what everyone expected. His voice dropped. "Walking away, that's choosing yourself. That's brave." Sophia felt something crack inside her chest. She hadn't cried yet. Not when she'd seen them. Not when she'd walked past her mother in the hallway, ignoring the questions. Not during the cab ride she'd paid for with emergency cash from the bridal suite, or the long walk from where the cab had dropped her off to here. But now, listening to this stranger, this criminal, this dangerous man her family had warned her about, tell her she'd been brave, the tears came hot and fast. "I have nowhere to go," she whispered. "Yes, you do." "Where?" "With me." Sophia wiped her eyes. Smearing mascara she'd spent an hour applying in a hotel suite that felt like another lifetime ago. "You don't even know me." "I know enough. You know my name. That's all. I know you walked away from a wedding to one of Miami's biggest real estate developers. I know you chose honesty over comfort. I know you're sitting here instead of calling Daddy to come pick you up, which means you've got pride." He extended a hand. "That's enough." "Why would you help me?" "Because Oliver Hale is a piece of shit, and his family destroyed mine." Ethan's voice went flat, hard. "Because 6 years ago, his father framed my brother for fraud and sent him to prison, where he died. Because the Hales have been trying to push me out of Miami ever since, and they've used every dirty trick in the book to do it." He paused. "And because you're cold and alone, and you don't deserve to spend your wedding night on church steps." Sophia stared at his outstretched hand. Everything her parents had taught her said to refuse. Everything she'd learned about the Blackwood family, the rumors, the whispered warnings, the knowing looks at charity galas when his name came up, said this was a mistake, but Oliver had been the safe choice, the approved choice, the choice that followed all the rules, and Oliver had bent her sister over a desk 3 hours before their wedding. Sophia took Ethan's hand. His grip was warm, solid. He pulled her to her feet like she weighed nothing, steadying her when she swayed. The dress dragged behind her, heavy with dirt and regret. "I don't have shoes," she said stupidly. "I noticed." Ethan shrugged out of his overcoat and draped it over her shoulders. It smelled like expensive cologne and cigarette smoke. "Car's around the corner." He didn't let go of her hand. Sophia didn't pull away. The car was a black Mercedes, sleek and understated in a way that probably cost more than the wedding dress. A driver stood beside it, a massive man with a shaved head and the kind of build that suggested he could break someone in half without much effort. "Marcus," Ethan said, "this is Sophia. She'll be staying with us for a while." Marcus nodded once, his expression neutral. If he found anything strange about his boss bringing home a barefoot woman in a wedding dress, he didn't show it. He opened the back door without a word. Sophia hesitated at the threshold. This was it. The moment where she chose. Get in this car, and everything changed. Stay here, and eventually someone from her family would find her, would drag her back into that world of expectations and obligations and carefully managed appearances. She got in. Ethan slid in beside her. Marcus closed the door and took the driver's seat. The engine purred to life, warm air flooding from the vents. Sophia pulled the overcoat tighter and watched the cathedral disappear through the rear window. "Where are we going?" she asked. "My house." "Where's that?" "Star Island." Of course it was. Star Island, where Miami's wealthiest and most powerful lived behind gates and security systems, where her parents had tried to buy property twice and been outbid both times, where Oliver had promised they'd move after the wedding into a house his family already owned. "I need to call someone," Sophia said. "Tell them I'm alive. They're probably losing their mind," Ethan finished. "Let them. For tonight, at least. Tomorrow you can decide what you want to tell them." "My phone's almost dead. I'll get you a new one. I don't have any money. I have plenty." Sophia turned to look at him. In the dim light from passing street lamps, his face was all shadows and angles. "Why are you doing this? I told you, Oliver and his family, but—" "No," she cut him off. "That's why you'd want to hurt them, not why you'd help me. There's a difference." Ethan was quiet for a moment. The car glided through empty streets, past palm trees strung with Christmas lights, past restaurants where people who hadn't just watched their lives implode were eating expensive meals and drinking expensive wine. "My brother was supposed to get married," he said finally, week before his arrest. His fiancée was pregnant. They'd already picked out names. Olivia if it was a girl, James if it was a boy. His jaw tightened. After he went to prison, she lost the baby. Stress, the doctor said. She killed herself 6 months later. Sophia's breath caught. "Ethan, her name was Rachel. She was a kindergarten teacher. She fostered dogs. She made my brother laugh, which wasn't easy. He was always too serious, too focused on the business." Ethan's voice stayed flat, controlled, but his hands were fists. "The Hales took that from me. Took him. Took the family we could have had. So when I saw you sitting on those steps in a dress you should have been wearing down an aisle to their golden boy, looking like your world just ended." He met her eyes. "Yeah, I wanted to help." The car turned onto the MacArthur Causeway, heading toward the barrier islands where Miami's elite kept their fortresses. Sophia tried to process what he'd just told her, tried to reconcile the dangerous man everyone warned about with someone who'd lost his brother and his almost niece, and a woman named Rachel who fostered dogs. "I'm sorry," she said. "Don't be. It's not your fault. I was going to marry into that family. But you didn't." Ethan's expression softened slightly. "You walked away. That means something." The gates to Star Island appeared, manned by private security who waved them through without stopping. The houses here were massive, Mediterranean-style estates with manicured lawns and views of Biscayne Bay. Each one probably cost more than most people saw in a lifetime. Marcus pulled into a circular driveway fronting a three-story mansion that looked like it belonged on the Italian coast. White stone, arched windows, a fountain in the center of the drive where water caught the moonlight. "This is yours?" Sophia asked. "Technically, it's a corporate holding, but yeah, I live here." "It's beautiful. It's a house." Ethan opened his door. "Come on. You need food, a hot shower, and sleep. Everything else can wait." Inside was more of the same, expensive, tasteful, the kind of decor that required an interior designer and a budget most people couldn't fathom. But it didn't feel cold. There were books on the shelves, actual books that looked read, art on the walls that seemed chosen rather than purchased, a piano in the corner with sheet music open on the stand. A woman appeared from a side hallway, late 50s, gray hair pulled into a neat bun. She took one look at Sophia, and her expression shifted from neutral to concerned. "Maria," Ethan said. "This is Sophia. Can you set up one of the guest rooms?" "Of course." Maria's voice was warm, accented. "Miss, are you hungry? I can make you something." Sophia realized she hadn't eaten since breakfast. The wedding breakfast, where her mother had pushed fruit around a plate and talked about photographers and seating charts while Sophia tried not to throw up from nerves. "Yes, thank you." "Go with Maria," Ethan said. "She'll get you settled. I have some calls to make." "At 9:30 at night?" His mouth quirked, almost a smile. "I run a 24-hour operation. 9:30 is prime time." Maria led Sophia up a curved staircase to the second floor, down a hallway lined with more art, into a bedroom that was bigger than her entire apartment had been in college. King bed, sitting area, balcony overlooking the bay, an ensuite bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people. "I'll bring you something to wear," Maria said. "And food. You just shower? Relax." "Thank you," Sophia whispered. Alone, she finally let herself fall apart. She cried in the shower, hot water mixing with tears, washing away makeup and hairspray and the last remnants of the person she'd been this morning. The wedding dress lay in a heap on the bathroom floor. She should hang it up. It cost $18,000. Her mother would kill her. Sophia left it there. Maria had left clothes on the bed. Soft pajama pants, a cashmere sweater, thick socks. They were too big, but they were warm and clean, and they didn't smell like church or betrayal or her sister's perfume. There was food, too. Soup, bread, fruit, comfort food. Sophia ate mechanically, tasting nothing, but her body needed fuel, so she forced it down. Her phone finally died. She set it aside and curled up in the armchair by the window, looking out at the bay. Boats moved through the darkness, their lights like distant stars. Somewhere across that water was the hotel where she was supposed to be right now. The honeymoon suite, champagne on ice, Oliver waiting. Or maybe not waiting, maybe with Elena. Maybe that had been the plan all along. A knock at the door. "Come in," Sophia called. Ethan entered, carrying a phone box. "Figured you'd need this. It's already set up, same number, everything transferred." "How did you—" "I know people." He set the box on the table. "Your parents have called about 50 times, Oliver about 30, your sister about 20. There are also approximately 100 texts, most of which seem to involve the words, 'Where are you?' and 'We need to talk.'" Sophia's stomach churned. You don't have to do anything tonight, but if you want to call them, I understand." She thought about it, thought about her mother's voice, high and panicked, demanding explanations, her father's disappointment, cold and cutting, Oliver's manipulation, because that's what it would be, lies wrapped in apologies, promises that it meant nothing, that he loved her, that they could fix this. "Tomorrow," she said. Ethan nodded. "There's one more thing you should know. Oliver's looking for you. He's got people checking hotels, your friends' apartments, anywhere he thinks you might go." "He doesn't know I'm here?" "No one knows you're here, but he's determined, and when he finds out you're with me—" Ethan's expression hardened. "This won't be quiet." "What does that mean?" "It means the Hales and I have been at war for 6 years. Having you here, the woman who was supposed to marry into their family, that's going to escalate things." Sophia stood. The borrowed clothes hung loose on her frame, making her look smaller than she was. "Are you saying I should leave?" I'm saying you should know what you're walking into. This isn't just shelter. This is choosing a side. I already chose a side when I walked out of that church. Oliver will paint this differently. He'll say I kidnapped you, manipulated you, used you to get back at him. And what's the truth? Ethan met her eyes. The truth is, you got in my car because you had nowhere else to go. The truth is, I offered you help because you needed it and because I hate the Hales. The truth is, you can leave any time you want. I'll even drive you myself. But if you stay, Oliver and your family are going to make your life hell. They're going to pressure you, threaten you. They might even try to force you back. He paused. So I need to know, are you sure this is where you want to be? Sophia thought about the alternative, going back to her parents' house, listening to her mother cry and her father lecture, facing Oliver's excuses and Elena's tears, pretending it was all a misunderstanding, going through with the wedding eventually because that's what everyone expected, living a life built on lies because the truth was too inconvenient. I'm sure, she said. Something flickered in Ethan's eyes. Respect, maybe, or recognition. Okay then. Tomorrow we'll figure out next steps. Tonight, you sleep. He turned to leave. Ethan? He looked back. Thank you, Sophia said, for picking me up, for bringing me here, for not asking questions. Everyone deserves a place to land when their life falls apart, he said quietly, even Morrison princesses. After he left, Sophia climbed into the enormous bed and pulled the covers up to her chin. The sheets smelled clean, like lavender and expensive detergent. The room was silent except for the distant sound of waves. She should feel scared. She was in a stranger's house, a dangerous stranger's house. Her family would lose their minds if they knew. Oliver would use this against her somehow. This was probably the worst decision she'd ever made. But she felt safe. For the first time in longer than she could remember, she felt safe. Sophia closed her eyes and let sleep take her. Sophia woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee drifting up from somewhere below. For 3 beautiful seconds, she didn't remember. Then it all came crashing back. The church, Oliver, Elena, the wedding dress crumpled on a bathroom floor she'd never see again. She rolled over and grabbed the new phone from the nightstand. 73 missed calls, 142 texts, 6 voicemails she couldn't bring herself to listen to. 1 text from her mother, sent at 2 a.m. Your father is having chest pains. I hope you're satisfied. Sophia deleted it without responding. There was a soft knock at the door. Maria's voice came through. Miss Sophia, I have breakfast if you're awake. Come in. Maria entered with a tray, eggs, toast, fresh fruit, and coffee that smelled like heaven. She set it on the small table by the window and opened the curtains wider, letting in the full force of the morning sun. Mr. Blackwood is in his office if you need anything, Maria said, and I took the liberty of getting you some clothes. They're in the closet. I guessed your size, so I hope they fit. Sophia looked at the closet. Inside hung jeans, sweaters, a few dresses, all with tags still attached. Shoes lined the bottom shelf. Everything looked expensive and exactly her style. How did you... I raised 2 daughters, Maria said simply. You learned to read people. She paused at the door. He's a good man, you know, Mr. Blackwood. People say things, but they don't know him like I do. After Maria left, Sophia ate slowly, staring out at the bay. Boats cut through the blue water. Palm trees swayed in the breeze. It looked like a postcard, like someone else's life. Her phone buzzed. Oliver's name flashed on the screen. She watched it ring, then go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text appeared. I know you're upset. We need to talk. Please, Soph, don't do this. Then another. Your parents are worried sick. Whatever you think happened, you're wrong. And another. Elena is devastated. She made a mistake. We both did. But we can fix this. Sophia threw the phone onto the bed and got dressed in jeans and a soft gray sweater that fit perfectly. The normalcy of it felt strange, getting dressed, brushing her teeth, running a comb through hair that still smelled faintly of the salon's hairspray from yesterday. Like she was getting ready for brunch, not dealing with the wreckage of her entire life. She found Ethan in a first-floor office, sitting behind a massive desk covered in papers and laptops. He was on the phone, speaking in rapid Spanish. When he saw her in the doorway, he held up one finger and wrapped up the conversation. "You look better," he said, setting the phone down. "I slept for 12 hours. You needed it." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit. We need to talk." Sophia sat, her stomach nodding. "About what?" "About what happens next." Ethan leaned back in his chair. "Your phone's been blowing up, I'm guessing." 73 calls, most from my parents and Oliver. You talk to any of them? No. Good. Don't. Not yet. He pulled up something on his laptop and turned it to face her. This ran in the society pages this morning. It was a photo of the cathedral from last night, guests milling around in confusion. The headline read, "Morrison Hale. Wedding called off at last minute. Bride vanishes." Sophia scanned the article. It was mostly speculation, unnamed sources claiming she'd had a breakdown, that she'd gotten cold feet, that there were rumors of family conflict. No mention of Oliver and Elena. No mention of the real reason. "They're controlling the narrative," Ethan said. "Making it look like you're unstable. Flighty. A runaway bride who couldn't handle the pressure." "Of course they are." Sophia pushed the laptop away. "That's what they do. Control things. It's going to get worse. Oliver's already putting out feelers, trying to find you. He's got connections, hotels, friends, private investigators. It's only a matter of time before someone mentions seeing you get into my car last night." "How much time?" "A day, maybe 2. Miami's a big city, but our circles are small." Ethan's expression was unreadable. "When he finds out, he's going to lose his mind." "Let him." "Sophia," Ethan's voice went serious, "you need to understand what this means. Oliver and I, our families have been at war for 6 years. His father destroyed my brother's life, got him killed in prison. I've spent every year since then making the Hales' business interests as difficult as possible. We're not friends. We're barely civil. If he thinks I took you to get back at him, did you?" The question hung in the air. Ethan didn't flinch. "No," he said finally, "but he won't believe that, and neither will anyone else." Sophia thought about that, about how it would look. The Morrison heiress disappeared from her own wedding, showing up at the home of her fiancé's biggest enemy. It looked calculated. It looked like revenge. Maybe it was. "I don't care what Oliver thinks," she said, "or my parents, or anyone else. You should, because they're not going to let this go quietly. Your father has lawyers. Oliver has influence. They're going to come after you, try to bring you back. And if they can't do that, they're going to try to make you look unstable enough that nothing you say matters." "What are you saying? That I should go back?" "I'm saying you should know what you're up against." Ethan stood and walked to the window, hands in his pockets. "I can protect you from a lot of things, but I can't protect you from your own family if you're not ready to cut ties completely." Sophia joined him at the window. Outside, a gardener was trimming hedges, earbuds in, oblivious to the drama unfolding inside. "My whole life, I did what they wanted," she said quietly. "Went to the right schools, joined the right clubs, dated the right boys, majored in art history because it was acceptable, even though I wanted to study architecture. I never questioned it, never pushed back. I was the perfect daughter." She laughed bitterly. "And look where that got me." "So what do you want now?" "I don't know." The honesty of it surprised her. "I don't know who I am without all of that, without their expectations, without Oliver. I've spent 28 years being who they needed me to be. I don't even know what I like, really, what I want." "Then figure it out," Ethan said simply. "You've got time." "I don't have anything. No money, no job, nowhere to live. You have this." He gestured around the room. "For as long as you need it. No strings, no expectations." "Why?" "Because you deserve the chance to figure out who you are. And because—" He stopped, seeming to choose his words carefully. "Because I know what it's like to lose everything, to have people take from you until there's nothing left. I won't be that person for you." Before Sophia could respond, Ethan's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his jaw tightened. "I need to take this. Make yourself at home. There's a library on the 3rd floor, a pool out back. Maria can show you around." He left, phone already to his ear, voice dropping into that same rapid Spanish. Sophia spent the rest of the morning exploring the house. It was massive. 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a home gym, a theater room, that library Ethan mentioned that held more books than some college collections. The decor was masculine but not cold, comfortable, lived in. She found herself drawn to the piano in the main room. The sheet music was Chopin, the Nocturne in E-flat major. Her fingers itched to play. She'd taken lessons for 12 years, had been good at it once, before her mother decided piano wasn't social enough and pushed her toward tennis instead. "You play?" Sophia jumped. Ethan stood in the doorway, jacket off, sleeves rolled up. "I used to, not in years." "Try it." "I'm rusty." "So? No one's judging." Sophia sat at the bench, feeling awkward, exposed. Her fingers found the keys. The first few notes came out hesitant, clumsy. But muscle memory kicked in, and soon the Nocturne filled the room, melancholy and beautiful. She played through the whole piece, mistakes and all. When the last note faded, she looked up to find Ethan watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "That was good," he said. "It was sloppy. It was honest." He moved to the liquor cabinet and poured 2 glasses of something amber. "Here, you look like you could use it." It was bourbon, smooth and expensive. Sophia took a sip and felt warmth spread through her chest. "I have to tell them something," she said. "My parents. They won't stop until I do." "What do you want to tell them?" "The truth." "Which truth? That you walked in on Oliver and your sister, or that you're staying with me?" "Both." Ethan studied her. "That's going to cause problems." "I know. They're going to say you're lying about Oliver and Elena. They're going to say you're unstable, that you're making it up for attention. I know that too." Sophia set down her glass. "But I'm tired of protecting people who don't deserve it. Elena doesn't deserve my silence. Oliver doesn't deserve my discretion. And my parents—" Her voice cracked. "They'll choose the wedding over me. Choose the merger. Choose what looks good over what's true. I know they will." "Then why tell them at all?" "Because I need to. I need to say it out loud. I need them to know that I know what they are." She met his eyes. "Does that make sense?" "Yeah," Ethan said quietly. "It does." That afternoon, Sophia called her parents. Her mother answered on the first ring. "Sophia Marie Morrison, where the hell are you?" "I'm safe." "Safe? Safe? Do you have any idea what you've put us through? Your father had to be seen by his cardiologist. The wedding planner is threatening to sue. We've had to refund deposits, cancel vendors." "I don't care about the vendors, Mom." "Well, you should care about your family, about your father's health, about Elena, who's been crying for 24 hours straight." "Elena should cry," Sophia cut in. "She should feel terrible." There was a pause. When her mother spoke again, her voice was ice. "What exactly are you implying?" "I walked in on them, Oliver and Elena, in the groom's room, 2 hours before the wedding." Silence. Then, "That's ridiculous." "I saw them, Mom. You were stressed, nervous. You probably misunderstood." "I didn't misunderstand anything. She was bent over a desk and his pants were around his ankles. There's not a lot of room for interpretation there." "Sophia, that's a vile accusation." "It's the truth." "Elena would never—" "But she did." Sophia's voice stayed steady, cold. "And so did Oliver. And instead of asking me if I'm okay, if I'm hurt, you're worried about deposits and your reputation and Dad's heart. Which, by the way, is fine. He always gets chest pains when things don't go his way. How dare you?" "I'm done, Mom. Done with the lies. Done with pretending. Done being the perfect daughter who never causes problems." "Where are you?" Her mother's voice shifted, calculating now. "Let me come get you. We'll talk about this calmly, figure out what really happened." "I know what really happened. I was there." "Sophia, please, just come home. We can fix this. Oliver called this morning. He's devastated. He wants to explain—" "There's nothing to explain. At least talk to him. He loves you." "No, he doesn't. He loves Morrison Holdings merging with Hale Properties. He loves what I represent. He doesn't love me." "That's not true." Mom, I found him with Elena. Love doesn't look like that. Another pause, then carefully. Even if what you're saying is true, and I'm not saying it is, but even if it were, people make mistakes. Oliver's father and your father have worked so hard on this merger. The company, I don't care about the company. Well, you should. That company is your inheritance, your future, Oliver's future. I don't have a future with Oliver. Sophia, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. For the first time in my life, I'm thinking clearly, and I can see exactly what this is, what it's always been. A business arrangement. You and Dad picked Oliver because his family's money and connections would benefit ours. You didn't care if I loved him. You didn't care if he loved me. You cared about the deal. That's not fair, isn't it? Sophia's voice rose. When was the last time you asked me what I wanted? What made me happy? When was the last time anything I said mattered more than what looked good for the family? I won't listen to this. You're clearly upset. Not thinking straight. I'm thinking straighter than I have in years. Then think about this. Her mother's voice went hard. If you don't come home, if you keep spreading these lies about Oliver and Elena, we will cut you off. Completely. No money. No trust fund. No access to anything. You'll be on your own. There it was. The threat Sophia had known was coming. Okay? She said. Okay? That's all you have to say? What else is there? You've made your choice. The company matters more than I do. The Hale connection matters more than what happened to me. So cut me off. Do whatever you need to do. Sophia, I'm staying with Ethan Blackwood. The words dropped like a bomb. Her mother gasped, actually gasped, like Sophia had announced she'd joined a cult. You're what? I'm staying with Ethan. He gave me a place to go when I had nowhere else. He's been kind to me. More kind than anyone in my own family. That man is dangerous, shrieked. That man picked me up off church steps when I was barefoot and freezing. That man gave me shelter without asking for anything in return. That man has been honest with me, which is more than I can say for Oliver, or you, or anyone else. He's using you. No, Mom, you used me. You and Dad. You turned me into a bargaining chip, a pawn in your business deals. Ethan's the first person who's treated me like a human being in longer than I can remember. If you stay with him, you are not part of this family. The ultimatum hung in the air. Sophia felt strangely calm. Then I guess I'm not part of this family, she said quietly. Goodbye, Mom. She hung up before her mother could respond. Her hands were shaking. She set the phone down and stared at it, half expecting it to ring again, half hoping it wouldn't. It stayed silent. Ethan found her an hour later, sitting on the back patio, staring at the pool. He didn't say anything, just sat beside her and handed her a glass of wine. How'd it go? He asked finally. About as well as expected. They don't believe me about Oliver and Elena. My mother threatened to cut me off if I don't come home. I told her I was staying here. Sophia took a long drink. So I guess I'm officially disowned. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was always going to happen. This just forced it to happen faster. She looked at him. I told her you've been kind to me. She said you're using me. What do you think? Sophia considered that. Ethan could be using her. Taking in his enemy's almost bride was definitely a strategic move. But nothing about the way he'd treated her felt manipulative. He'd been blunt, honest, protective without being controlling. I think you're angry at the Hales, she said slowly. I think having me here gives you leverage, whether you use it or not. But I don't think you're using me. Not in the way my mother means. Fair assessment. Ethan stretched his legs out. For what it's worth, I meant what I said. You can stay as long as you want. If your family cuts you off, I'll help you get on your feet. Find a job if you want one. An apartment. Whatever you need. Why? Because you deserve better than what they gave you. And because... He stopped, seemed to debate something. Because you remind me of Rachel, my brother's fiancée. She came from money, too. Old Charleston family, the kind that cares more about appearances than people. When she got pregnant, they told her to either get rid of it or get out. She chose to get out. Chose my brother. Chose the life she wanted over the life they wanted for her. His voice went quiet. That took courage. What you're doing takes courage. 이쪽으로 I don't feel courageous. I feel terrified. Good. Brave people are always terrified. They just do it anyway. They sat in silence for a while, watching the sun start its descent toward the horizon. Sophia's phone buzzed once, a text from Oliver that she deleted without reading, then another from a number she didn't recognize. She opened it. This is Elena. Please talk to me. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I love you. Please. Sophia stared at the message. Part of her wanted to respond, to demand answers, to scream at her sister through text until her thumbs cramped. But what would be the point? Elena had made her choice, just like their parents, just like Oliver. She deleted that too. They're not going to let this go, Ethan said. Oliver especially. He'll escalate. What does that mean? It means he'll try to paint me as the villain. Say I manipulated you, kidnapped you, brainwashed you. He'll use every resource he has to discredit anything you say and make himself look like the victim. Ethan turned to face her. It's going to get ugly. Are you ready for that? No, Sophia admitted. But I don't think I have a choice. You always have a choice. Do I? Go back to my family and pretend none of this happened? Marry Oliver anyway? Smile through it? That's one choice. It's not a real choice. It's surrender. Then don't surrender. Ethan stood, offering his hand. Come on. I want to show you something. He led her through the house to a room she hadn't explored yet, a study lined with filing cabinets and a massive wall safe. Ethan opened the safe and pulled out a folder, thick with documents. What is this? Sophia asked. Evidence. Against the Hales. Against your father. Against the merger that was supposed to happen after your wedding. He set the folder on the desk. My brother didn't commit fraud. He was set up. Michael Hale, Oliver's father, doctored records, falsified transactions, made it look like my brother was embezzling. Then he used those fake records to have him arrested and convicted. You have proof of this? I've been collecting it for 6 years. Financial records, emails, testimony from people who were there. Everything I need to destroy the Hales and expose your father's involvement. Sophia's stomach dropped. My father was involved? He knew. Maybe didn't orchestrate it, but he knew what Michael was doing, and he looked the other way because it benefited Morrison Holdings. The Hales got my brother's company. Your father got preferential terms on the merger they've been planning ever since. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know who you were about to marry into, and because if you stay here, if you keep pushing back against your family, they're going to come after you hard. They'll use everything, lawyers, money, influence. The only way to fight them is to hit back harder. Ethan's expression was grim. I can do that, but only if you want me to. Sophia opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, emails, depositions. Her father's name appeared again and again, always in the background, always peripheral, but there, complicit. If you release this, it'll destroy them, she said. Yes. All of them. My father, the Hales, probably half of Miami's business community. Yes. People will lose jobs. Companies will fold. Probably. Ethan didn't sugarcoat it. But people also deserve the truth. My brother deserved better than dying in prison for crimes he didn't commit. Rachel deserved better than losing her baby and her life because of lies. Sophia closed the folder. Her hands were steady, but her heart was racing. This was it. The line. Cross it, and there was no going back. Her family would never forgive her. She'd be burning every bridge, severing every connection to the life she'd known. But that life had been built on lies, on her silence, on her compliance. Do it, she said. Ethan studied her. You're sure? No, but do it anyway. Something like approval flickered across his face. It'll take time. I need to make sure everything's airtight, that we have enough to make it stick. A few weeks, maybe a month. I can wait. And in the meantime, Oliver's going to keep looking for you. He's going to find out you're here. When he does, let him come, Sophia said. She felt reckless, dangerous, like she'd stepped off a cliff and was still falling. I'm done hiding, done being afraid. He wants a fight? Fine, I'll give him one. Ethan smiled, sharp and approving. There she is. Who? The woman who walked away from her own wedding, the one who's been hiding under all that perfect daughter polish. He picked up the folder. She's going to be hell to deal with. I like her. That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She paced her room, restless, energized, terrified. Everything was different now. She'd cut ties with her family, aligned herself with Ethan, agreed to help expose the people who'd raised her. There was no going back. Around midnight, she gave up on sleep and wandered downstairs. The house was quiet, dark except for a light coming from Ethan's study. She found him at his desk, shirt sleeves still rolled up, reading glasses perched on his nose while he reviewed documents. Can't sleep? He asked without looking up. Too much adrenaline. Join the club. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. Keep me company while I work. Sophia sat. They didn't talk much. He worked, she watched, comfortable in the silence. It felt strangely domestic, like they'd done this 100 times before. Can I ask you something? She said eventually. Sure. Do you think I'm doing this for the right reasons? Going after my family? Or am I just angry and looking for revenge? Ethan set down his pen. Does it matter? Shouldn't it? Maybe. He leaned back. Or maybe the reasons don't matter as much as the result. Your family helped destroy mine. Whether you're doing this for justice or revenge or just because you're pissed off, the outcome is the same. They face consequences for what they did. But if it's just revenge, then it's revenge. So what? They hurt you. They hurt me. They hurt a lot of people. Wanting them to pay for that isn't wrong. It feels wrong. Because you were raised to be nice, to not make waves, to put other people's comfort ahead of your own anger. Ethan's voice was gentle. But anger isn't always bad, Sophia. Sometimes it's the only sane response to an insane situation. She thought about that. About the anger she'd been taught to swallow her whole life. The times she'd bitten her tongue, smoothed things over, played peacemaker. All that repressed rage had to go somewhere. Maybe it was time to let it out. I'm angry, she admitted. At all of them. My parents for choosing business over me. Elena for... Her voice broke. For being my sister and doing that anyway. Oliver for lying, for making me feel like I was the problem, like I was too demanding or too needy when really he just didn't give a damn. Good. Use it. How? However you want. Scream, break things, play angry music too loud, or channel it into taking them down. He met her eyes. Your choice. Sophia stood. I think I need to break something. Ethan laughed. There's a punching bag in the gym, or Maria keeps old dishes in the garage specifically for when I need to throw things. You throw dishes? Everyone needs a destructive outlet. Mine's breaking plates, cheaper than therapy. They ended up in the garage, Sophia in borrowed workout clothes, Ethan handing her chipped ceramic plates one at a time. She hurled them at the concrete wall, watching them shatter, feeling something loosen in her chest with each crash. He told me I was too cold, she said, throwing another plate, that I didn't open up enough, that he needed more from me emotionally. Crash. Meanwhile, he was screwing my sister. He's an asshole. My mother said I was overreacting, that I probably misunderstood. Crash. How do you misunderstand someone's dick being where it shouldn't be? You don't. And Elena? Sophia's voice cracked. She threw the plate harder. She was my sister. We shared a room growing up. I taught her how to do her makeup, helped her with her college applications, and she just... Crash. She didn't even apologize. Not really, just, I never meant for this to happen. Like it was an accident, like they tripped and fell onto each other. People protect themselves, Ethan said quietly. Admitting what they did means facing who they are. Most people aren't brave enough for that. Sophia threw the last plate, watched it explode into pieces, and then sank down onto the garage floor. She wasn't crying, she was just empty. Ethan sat beside her, not touching, just present. Thank you, she said. For what? For not telling me it'll be okay, or that I should forgive them, or any of the other useless things people say when they don't know what else to do. It might not be okay, Ethan said, and you don't have to forgive anyone. Sometimes people do unforgivable things. You're allowed to not be okay with that. They sat there among the broken dishes, two people who'd lost families to lies and greed and betrayal, and for the first time since the wedding that never was, Sophia didn't feel alone. 3 days after the broken dishes, Oliver found her. Sophia was in the library curled up in one of the leather chairs with a book she wasn't really reading when she heard raised voices downstairs. Male voices, angry, getting louder. She set the book down and moved to the door, her pulse jumping. "Don't care what you think you're doing, Blackwood. She's coming with me." Oliver's voice. Sophia's hands went cold. "She's not going anywhere she doesn't want to go." That was Ethan, calm but with an edge underneath. "You manipulated her, took advantage of her when she was vulnerable. I gave her a place to sleep." "There's a difference." "Bullshit. You've been trying to destroy my family for years. You saw an opportunity and you took it." Sophia moved to the stairs. Below in the foyer, Oliver stood facing Ethan. He looked terrible, unshaven, rumpled suit, eyes bloodshot. Behind him stood two men in dark suits, security probably, hands clasped in front of them like they were waiting for orders. Marcus stood behind Ethan, massive and unmovable. "I'm going to ask you one more time," Oliver said. "Where is Sophia?" "I'm right here." All heads turned. Sophia descended the stairs slowly, forcing herself to breathe, to stay calm. Oliver's face transformed when he saw her. Relief, then anger, then something that might have been desperation. "Soph, thank God." He started toward her, but Ethan shifted, blocking his path. Oliver's jaw tightened. "We need to talk, alone." "No," Sophia said. "Please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." "I said no." "Sophia, whatever he's told you, it's lies. I love you. I've been going crazy trying to find you. You should have thought about that before you fucked my sister." The words came out flat, emotionless. Oliver flinched like she'd slapped him. It wasn't like that. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I walked in on you. There's not much to misunderstand. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. I was stressed about the wedding. Elena was there. We'd both been drinking. Stop. Sophia held up a hand. Just stop. I don't want to hear your excuses. They're not excuses, they're explanations. If you just listen, why? So you can tell me it didn't mean anything? That it was just sex? That you still love me? She laughed, sharp. You know what, Oliver? That almost makes it worse. You risked our entire future, humiliated me in front of 300 people for something that didn't mean anything. I made a mistake. You made a choice, and I'm making mine. I'm not coming back. Oliver's expression hardened. This is because of him, isn't it? He jerked his chin toward Ethan. He's been filling your head with lies about me, about my family. Actually, Ethan's been filling my head with the truth, about what your father did to his brother, about the fraud charges, the evidence tampering, the whole thing. That's insane. My father would never... Your father destroyed an innocent man's life to steal his company. Ethan has proof. He's lying. No, Oliver, you're lying. You've been lying this whole time. About loving me. About the wedding being anything other than a business arrangement. About being faithful. Sophia's voice stayed level, controlled. I'm done being lied to. You can't stay here, with him. Oliver looked around the foyer like he was cataloging evidence. Do you have any idea how this looks? My fiancé shacked up with my family's enemy. I'm not your fiancé. Yes, you are. We're still engaged. No, we're not. There was no wedding. There is no engagement. Sophia pulled off the ring she'd somehow forgotten she was still wearing and held it out. Here, take it. Oliver stared at the ring like it might bite him. Sophia, don't do this. Your parents are worried sick. Elena's been crying for days. Elena can cry all she wants. It won't change what she did. She's your sister. She was my sister. Now she's the woman who slept with my fiancé. Sophia dropped the ring. It hit the marble floor with a sharp ping and rolled, coming to rest near Oliver's shoe. We're done, Oliver. Accept it and leave. I'm not leaving without you. Then you're not leaving. Sophia turned to go back upstairs. Oliver grabbed her arm. It wasn't rough, not exactly, but it was firm, proprietary. Sophia froze. Before she could react, Ethan moved. He had Oliver's wrist in his hand, twisting it away from Sophia with controlled force. "Don't touch her," Ethan said quietly. The security guys stepped forward. Marcus shifted to intercept. The air went tight, dangerous. "Let go," Oliver said through clenched teeth. "When you learn to keep your hands to yourself." For a second, Sophia thought it would escalate into actual violence. Then Oliver jerked free, rubbing his wrist. "This isn't over," he said. "Yeah, it is." Ethan's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. "She told you to leave. So leave. Or what? You'll have your pet gorilla throw me out?" Oliver glanced at Marcus. "I'm not afraid of you, Blackwood. You should be." The threat hung in the air, quiet and absolute. Oliver's jaw worked like he was chewing on a response. Finally, he bent down, grabbed the ring, and straightened. "Your father's on his way," he said to Sophia. "With his lawyers. You think I'm bad? Wait until he gets here. He's going to drag you home by your hair if he has to." "Let him try." Oliver looked at her for a long moment, like he was seeing someone he didn't recognize. Then he turned and walked out, his security guys following. The door slammed behind them. Sophia's legs went weak. She sat down hard on the stairs, adrenaline draining out of her all at once. "You okay?" Ethan asked. "I don't know." Her hands were shaking. That was brave. That was brave. "I wanted to throw up, but you didn't. You stood your ground." He sat beside her on the stairs. "He grabbed you." "Yeah. That's not okay." "I know." Sophia pressed her palms against her eyes. "He's never done that before. Grabbed me like that. Like he owned me." "He doesn't own you. No one does." They sat there in silence. Maria appeared from somewhere, took one look at them, and disappeared again. A few minutes later, she returned with tea and cookies, setting the tray on the stairs like it was perfectly normal to have tea service on the staircase. "Your father will come," Maria said matter-of-factly. "Men like that always do. But you are safe here. Mr. Blackwood will make sure of it." After she left, Sophia picked up one of the teacups. Her hands had stopped shaking. "He said my father's bringing lawyers." "Probably. Charles Morrison doesn't do anything without lawyers." "What can they do? Legally, I mean? Can they force me to leave?" "You're 28 years old. You're not a minor. They can't force you to do anything." Ethan poured his own tea. "But they can make things difficult. Tie up your trust fund, contest any financial support I give you as undue influence, try to have you declared mentally incompetent. That's insane, that's powerful people protecting their interests." Sophia drank her tea. It was chamomile, sweet, calming. "I meant what I said about not going back." "I know you did. But you think I will." "I think when your father shows up with a team of lawyers and starts making threats, it's going to be a lot harder than facing down Oliver." "You're probably right." Sophia set down her cup. "But I'm still not going." Ethan studied her. "What changed? 3 days ago you were terrified of all this. Now you're throwing rings at your ex-fiancé. 3 days ago I still thought maybe I could go back. That maybe if I just explained, if I just made them understand, they'd choose me over the business, over appearances." She laughed bitterly. "Oliver showing up proved that's never going to happen. He didn't come here because he loves me. He came because losing me makes him look bad, makes the whole family look bad. I'm a liability they need to contain. And you're done being contained. I'm done being anything they want me to be." The words felt true in a way nothing had felt true in years. Sophia stood, leaving the tea behind, and headed back upstairs to the library. She had reading to do, evidence to understand. If she was going to help Ethan take down the Hales and her own father, she needed to know exactly what they'd done. Her father arrived that evening with 3 lawyers, all men in expensive suits carrying leather briefcases. Charles Morrison looked older than Sophia remembered, grayer, thinner, the lines around his mouth deeper, but his eyes were the same, cold, calculating, assessing everything like a balance sheet. Sophia met them in the living room, Ethan beside her. Her father didn't acknowledge Ethan's presence. "Sophia," he said, This has gone on long enough. Get your things. You're coming home. No, I'm not. This isn't a negotiation. You're right, it's not. Sophia stayed seated, forcing herself to appear relaxed even though her heart was hammering. I'm an adult. I can live where I want. Not when you're clearly being manipulated. One of the lawyers stepped forward, opening his briefcase. Mr. Blackwood has a documented history of criminal activity, coercion, and violence. Your sudden decision to stay with him, immediately following a traumatic event, suggests undue influence. I'm not being influenced. I'm making my own choices. Are you? Her father's voice was sharp. Or has he convinced you that your family is the enemy? That we're trying to hurt you? You are hurting me by not believing me about Oliver and Elena, by caring more about the merger than about what I need. What you need is to come home, see a therapist, and work through whatever breakdown you're having. I'm not having a breakdown. You ran away from your own wedding because my fiancé was cheating on me with my sister. The words echoed in the high-ceilinged room. Her father didn't even blink. Oliver and Elena both deny that anything inappropriate happened, he said calmly. Your mother spoke with them. They said you walked in during a private conversation, misinterpreted what you saw, and left before anyone could explain. Sophia stared at him. You actually believe that? I believe my daughters wouldn't lie to me. One of your daughters is lying, and it's not me. Sophia, I saw them, Dad. I saw what they were doing. There's no misinterpretation, no confusion. Oliver's pants were literally around his ankles. Her father's expression didn't change. Even if that were true, and I'm not saying it is, it doesn't justify you staying here with him. He finally looked at Ethan, disgust clear on his face. Do you have any idea what this looks like? What people are saying? I don't care what people are saying. Well, you should. The Morrison name means something in this city. Our reputation? Your reputation was built on helping the Hales destroy an innocent man. Sophia stood. Ethan's brother. You knew what Michael Hale was doing and you helped him do it. That's absurd. It's true. And Ethan has proof. Bank records, emails, testimony, everything he needs to expose what you did. The room went very quiet. Her father's eyes narrowed. I see, he said slowly. So that's what this is. Blackwood's using you to get to me, to get revenge for his criminal brother who got exactly what he deserved. Ethan spoke for the first time. My brother wasn't a criminal. Your friend framed him. You have no proof of that. Actually, I do. Want to see it? One of the lawyers cleared his throat. Mr. Morrison, perhaps we should discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss. Charles turned back to Sophia. You have a choice to make. Come home now, and we'll put all of this behind us. Get you the help you need. Work things out with Oliver if that's what you want, or call off the engagement quietly if it's not. Either way, you remain part of this family. And if I don't come home, then you're on your own. No money, no support, no family. His voice was flat, final. And I will use every resource I have to make sure no one in this city will hire you, rent to you, or do business with you. You'll be finished. Sophia had known it was coming, the ultimatum, the threat, but hearing it out loud still felt like a punch to the gut. That's your answer? She said quietly. Choose the family or be destroyed. I'm trying to protect you. No, you're trying to control me. There's a difference. Sophia, please, be reasonable. You can't throw your entire life away over a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding. And it's not just about Oliver. It's about all of it. The lies, the manipulation, the way you've all treated me like a possession instead of a person. She felt tears threatening but held them back. I'm done, Dad. I'm done being your perfect daughter. Done doing what you want. Done pretending I don't see what you really are. And what am I? A man who values money over his own child. Her father's face went hard. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Charles Morrison stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to his lawyers. Draw up the paperwork. As of today, Sophia Morrison is no longer a beneficiary of any family trusts or accounts. Her name is to be removed from all company documents. She is not to have access to any family properties or resources. Dad, you made your choice. He headed for the door, then paused. When this all falls apart, and it will, don't come crawling back. I won't be there. He left. The lawyers followed, not looking at Sophia. The front door closed. Sophia stood in the middle of the living room, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under her. She'd known it would happen, had prepared herself for it. But knowing and experiencing were two different things. Hey! Ethan's voice was gentle. You okay? I just lost my entire family. No, you didn't. You lost people who treated you like property. That's not the same thing. It feels the same. I know. He moved closer but didn't touch her, giving her space. For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Did I? Because right now it feels like I just burned down my entire life for nothing. Not for nothing. For yourself. For the truth. That's not nothing. Sophia wanted to believe him, but all she felt was empty. That night, she couldn't sleep again. She kept replaying the conversation with her father, looking for the moment where she could have said something different, done something that would have made him choose her. But there was no moment, no magic words. He'd made his choice before he even walked through the door. Around 2 a.m, she gave up and went downstairs. Ethan was in his study again, paperwork spread across the desk. You ever sleep? Sophia asked from the doorway. Not much. He looked up. You? Not tonight. Want company? She nodded. He cleared a space on the couch and she curled up there while he worked. The silence was comfortable, broken only by the scratch of his pen and the occasional rustle of papers. Can I ask you something? Sophia said after a while. Sure. Do you ever regret it? Going after the Hales? Spending 6 years on revenge? Ethan set down his pen. Sometimes. It's cost me a lot. Relationships, peace of mind, a normal life. Then why keep doing it? Because my brother can't. Because Rachel can't. Because someone needs to make sure what they did has consequences. He paused. And because stopping now would mean admitting that all of it, the years, the work, the cost, was for nothing. That's the sunk cost fallacy. Maybe. Or maybe it's just unfinished business. He looked at her. Why do you ask? Because I'm wondering if I'm doing the same thing, staying here, helping you, going after my own family. Is it justice, or is it just me being angry and destructive? Does it have to be one or the other? Doesn't it? I don't think so. You can want justice and be angry. You can want people to face consequences and also want revenge. Humans are complicated. Motivations are messy. Sophia pulled her knees to her chest. I keep thinking about Elena, about how she looked at me when we were kids, like I was her hero. She wanted to be just like me, wore my clothes, copied my hair, followed me around everywhere. And now? Now I don't know who she is. I don't know if she ever was the person I thought she was, or if I just wanted to believe in that version of her. People change, or maybe they just show you who they always were. Which do you think it is? With Elena? Ethan considered. I think people are capable of surprising you, good and bad. Your sister might have genuinely looked up to you and also been capable of sleeping with your fiancé. People contain multitudes. I hate that. Yeah, me too. They sat quietly for a while. Then Sophia said, Oliver's going to come back, isn't he? Probably. With more people next time, more threats. And my father will keep trying to destroy me. Yep. So what do I do? You fight back. Ethan pulled one of the folders from his desk. These are the financial records. The proof of what Michael Hale did. I need to organize them, build a timeline, make it airtight before I can release anything. You studied art history, right? Yeah. Which means you know how to research, how to piece together stories from fragments, how to verify authenticity. Sophia saw where he was going. You want my help. Only if you want to give it, but yeah. An extra set of eyes would be useful, and it might help. Doing something instead of just waiting for the next attack. She thought about it, about spending her days going through documents, learning exactly how her father and the Hales had destroyed Ethan's family, about being part of something instead of just a victim waiting to be rescued. Okay, she said, show me what you have. They worked until dawn. Sophia learning the intricacies of corporate fraud while Ethan explained how the pieces fit together. It was tedious, painstaking work, but it felt purposeful, like she was building something instead of just watching her life fall apart. When the sun came up, Maria found them both asleep. Sophia on the couch, Ethan slumped over his desk, papers everywhere. She covered them both with blankets and left coffee for when they woke up. The war had begun. But for the first time since the wedding that never was, Sophia felt like she was on the right side of it. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange rhythm. Sophia spent her days buried in evidence, learning the language of shell corporations and wire transfers and falsified audits. Ethan worked beside her, patient when she didn't understand, impressed when she caught details he'd missed. At night they had dinner together, talking about everything except the Hales and the Morrisons. Movies, books, childhood memories. Slowly, carefully, they were becoming something more than allies. Oliver called 17 times. Sophia blocked his number after the 5th voicemail where he alternated between begging her to come back and threatening legal action. Her mother sent texts, guilt trips about her father's health, about Elena's fragile mental state, about the shame Sophia was bringing on the family. Sophia deleted them without reading most. Elena sent one message. "I'm sorry. I know you won't believe me, but I am." Sophia stared at it for an hour before finally typing back, "Sorry, doesn't fix this." Elena didn't respond. On the 15th day, Marcus came into the study where Sophia and Ethan were working. "We've got a problem," he said. Ethan looked up. "What kind of problem?" "Oliver Hale just pulled up with 6 guys, armed. They're at the front gate demanding entry." Sophia's blood went cold. Ethan's expression didn't change, but she saw his jaw tighten. "How armed?" he asked. "Handguns. Visible. They're not even trying to hide it. Call the police." "Already did, but they're 15 minutes out, maybe more." Ethan stood. "Get Sophia upstairs, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." "No," Sophia said. "I'm not hiding." "Sophia, no, this is about me. I'm not going to hide while you deal with it." "He's armed. He's desperate. That's a bad combination." "I don't care. I'm done running." She stood, her heart pounding, but her resolve solid. "Let them in." "That's a terrible idea, Sit." "It's my idea. Let them in. Let's end this." Ethan looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned to Marcus. "Let them through the gate, but keep the guys ready. If this goes bad, I want them handled fast." Marcus nodded and left. Ethan turned back to Sophia. "Stay behind me," he said. "And if shooting starts, you run. Understood?" "Understood." They went downstairs together. Through the windows, Sophia could see the cars pulling up the driveway. Oliver got out first, then 5 other men, all in tactical gear like they were planning for war. This was it. The confrontation she'd been half expecting since the night she left. Sophia's hands were steady as she walked to the door. Whatever happened next, she was ready. Ethan opened the door before Oliver could knock. The 2 men faced each other across the threshold, the air between them crackling with 6 years of hatred and fresh grievances. "You've got about 10 seconds to tell me why you're on my property with armed men," Ethan said, his voice dangerously calm. "I'm here for what's mine." Oliver's eyes flicked past Ethan to where Sophia stood in the hallway. "Sophia, come on. We're leaving." "No, we're not." Sophia stepped forward, positioning herself beside Ethan. "I told you I'm not going back." "You don't have a choice anymore." Oliver gestured to the men behind him. "This has gone too far. You've been here 2 weeks, isolated, cut off from everyone who cares about you. That's textbook kidnapping. I'm not kidnapped. I'm here by choice. That's what you think, but he's been manipulating you, feeding you lies about me, about your family. The only person who's been lying is you." Sophia's voice stayed level despite the adrenaline flooding her system. "You cheated on me, with my sister. Then you tried to convince everyone I imagined it." "I made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. You chose to sleep with Elena. You chose to lie about it. You chose to come here with guns like some kind of action movie psychopath instead of just accepting that it's over." Oliver's face flushed. "You don't understand the pressure I was under, the wedding, the merger, my father breathing down my neck. So you fucked my sister to blow off steam? That's your defense?" I'm not defending it. I'm trying to explain, right? There's nothing to explain. We're done, Oliver. Accept it and leave. I can't do that. Then you're going to have a problem, Ethan said quietly. Because she's not leaving, and you're not taking her by force. Oliver's hand moved toward his waistband. Behind him, his men tensed. Marcus and 3 other large men appeared from inside the house, forming a wall behind Ethan and Sophia. Don't, Ethan warned. You pull that gun, people die. Maybe me, maybe you. Definitely some of your guys. Is that really what you want? What I want is my fiancée back. She's not your fiancée. She's a grown woman who made a choice. A choice you manipulated her into making. I didn't manipulate anyone. Ethan's patience was clearly wearing thin. I gave her shelter when she had nowhere else to go. I've been honest with her, which is more than you can say. If that's manipulation, then every decent human being is guilty of it. Decent? Oliver laughed, sharp and bitter. You run half the criminal operations in South Florida. You've got blood on your hands. You're a thug in an expensive suit. Maybe. But I'm not the one who showed up at someone's house with 6 armed men. Because you took something that doesn't belong to you. I'm not a thing, Oliver. Sophia's voice cut through the testosterone-fueled standoff. I don't belong to anyone, not to you, not to my father, not to anyone. I'm a person, and I'm choosing to stay here. You're choosing wrong. That's my right, to choose wrong, to make mistakes, to live my own life even if you don't approve. Oliver stared at her, breathing hard. For a moment, Sophia thought he might actually pull the gun, might actually escalate this into violence. Then his expression shifted, became calculating. Your father's filing a lawsuit, he said, against Blackwood, for alienation of affection, undue influence, unlawful imprisonment. Every charge we can make stick. None of that will stick, Ethan said, because none of it's true. Doesn't matter. The legal fees alone will bleed you dry. We'll tie you up in court for years. And when we're done with you, we'll make sure every business you run, every deal you make, gets scrutinized. Federal investigations, tax audits. We'll dismantle your entire operation. Go ahead and try. I'm not bluffing. Neither am I. Ethan's voice went cold. You want a war? Fine. But understand what that means. I've spent 6 years collecting evidence against your family. Financial fraud, evidence tampering, bribery. All of it documented, verified, ready to go. You come after me, I release everything. Your father goes to prison, your company collapses. The Hale name becomes synonymous with corruption. Oliver's jaw tightened. You're lying. Try me. The standoff stretched, neither man backing down. Sophia could feel the violence simmering just below the surface, ready to explode at the slightest provocation. Then sirens cut through the air. Police, finally. Oliver's eyes flicked toward the sound, assessing. This isn't over, he said. Yeah, it is. Sophia stepped fully in front of Ethan, facing Oliver directly. I'm going to say this once, so listen carefully. I don't love you. I probably never did. I loved the idea of you. The perfect fiancé, the perfect life, all of it. But it was a fantasy. You're not who I thought you were. And honestly, I'm not who I thought I was either. Sophia, I'm not finished. You hurt me. You humiliated me. You betrayed me in the worst possible way. And instead of owning it, instead of being honest, you tried to make me question my own reality. You and my parents and Elena, all of you gaslighting me, telling me I misunderstood, I overreacted, I'm having a breakdown. Her voice shook but didn't break. But I know what I saw. I know what you did. And I will never, ever forgive you for it. The police cars pulled into the driveway, lights flashing. Officers emerged, hands on their weapons. Everyone stay calm, one of them called out. Hands where we can see them. Oliver's men slowly raised their hands. Marcus and Ethan's guys did the same. Ethan stepped forward, hands visible. Officer, I'm the homeowner. These men showed up uninvited with weapons, demanding entry. I'd like them removed from my property. The lead officer looked at Oliver. That true? You armed? Oliver hesitated, then pulled out his handgun slowly, carefully, and set it on the ground. His men did the same. We're licensed to carry, Oliver said, and we're here to retrieve Miss Morrison, who's being held against her will. I'm not being held against anything, Sophia said. I'm here by choice. They're the ones who showed up threatening violence. The officer looked between them, clearly trying to assess the situation. Miss, are you here voluntarily? Yes. Has anyone threatened you or prevented you from leaving? No. Do you want to leave with these men? Absolutely not. The officer turned to Oliver. Then you need to go, now, before I arrest all of you for trespassing and brandishing. She's being manipulated. Sir, I'm not going to ask again. Leave, or we'll make you leave. Oliver looked at Sophia, something desperate and angry and broken in his expression. For a second, she almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then she remembered Elena bent over that desk, remembered his lies, remembered every time he'd made her feel like she was crazy for wanting honesty. Go, she said quietly. There's nothing for you here. Oliver picked up his gun slowly, holstered it. His men collected their weapons. Without another word, they got in their cars and left, tires spitting gravel as they accelerated down the driveway. The police took statements, checked everyone's licenses to carry, made sure no laws had been broken. By the time they left, it was late afternoon and Sophia was exhausted down to her bones. You okay? Ethan asked after the last police car pulled away. I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. Sophia headed inside, needing distance from what had just happened. She made it to the library before her legs gave out. She sank into one of the leather chairs, staring at nothing. Ethan appeared a few minutes later with 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed her one and sat in the chair across from her. That was intense, he said. That's one word for it. You were good, didn't back down. I was terrified. Brave and terrified aren't mutually exclusive. Sophia sipped the whiskey. It burned going down, warming her from the inside. He really thought he could just take me, like I was a piece of furniture he'd left behind. Men like Oliver don't understand the word no. They're used to getting what they want. What happens now? He said they're filing lawsuits. Let them. Most of those charges won't stick. And the ones that might, alienation of affection, are nearly impossible to prove when the other party entered voluntarily. Ethan swirled his whiskey. It's a scare tactic, designed to make you panic and go back. I'm not going back. I know. He looked at her with something like pride. You made that pretty clear. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sun set through the tall windows. Sophia's mind kept replaying the confrontation, looking for things she should have said differently, ways she could have been stronger. But underneath the second-guessing was a strange sense of relief. She'd faced Oliver. She'd stood her ground. She'd survived. Can I ask you something? Sophia said eventually. Sure. That evidence you mentioned against the Hales, is it really as damaging as you made it sound? Worse, actually, I downplayed it. So why haven't you released it? What are you waiting for? Ethan was quiet for a moment. Because once I do, there's no taking it back. People will lose jobs. Families will be destroyed. Yeah, the Hales deserve it. But there's going to be collateral damage. Secretaries who had nothing to do with the fraud. Middle management who were just following orders. I want to make sure that when I pull the trigger, I'm hitting the right targets. And what are the right targets? The people who made the decisions? Michael Hale, your father, the lawyers who helped them cover it up, the accountants who cooked the books. He met her eyes. I don't want innocent people hurt. I want justice. There's a difference. Sophia thought about that, about the painstaking work they'd been doing, organizing evidence, building timelines, making sure every detail was airtight. It wasn't just revenge, it was careful, methodical pursuit of accountability. When you do release it, she said, my father will know I helped. He'll know I was part of it. Probably. He'll never forgive me. No, he won't. I'm okay with that. The words surprised her, but they were true. He had his chance to choose me. He chose business instead. I don't owe him anything anymore. Ethan raised his glass, to not owing anyone anything. Sophia clinked her glass against his. To freedom. They drank. Outside, the last of the sunlight faded, leaving the bay dark and restless under the rising moon. The next morning brought more problems. Sophia's bank accounts were frozen. Her credit cards declined. Her health insurance canceled. Her father was making good on his threats, cutting her off completely. It's fine, Ethan said when she told him. I'll cover everything until you get on your feet. I can't let you do that. Why not? Because I'm not a charity case. I never said you were. Consider it a loan if it makes you feel better. A loan I have no way to pay back. So don't pay it back, or pay it forward. Help someone else when you can. He shrugged. Money's just money, Sophia. I've got plenty. She wanted to argue, but the practical reality was that she had nothing. No income, no assets, no way to support herself. Pride was expensive, and right now she couldn't afford it. Thank you, she said quietly. You're welcome. Later that day, Maria found Sophia staring at her laptop, scrolling through job listings. What are you looking for? Maria asked. A job, something, anything. I need income. Doing what? I don't know. I have a degree in art history. That qualifies me for basically nothing. Sophia laughed bitterly. I was supposed to just marry rich and join charity boards. Nobody ever asked what I actually wanted to do. So what do you want to do? The question stopped Sophia cold. What did she want? She'd spent so long doing what was expected that she'd never considered what she actually enjoyed. I like architecture, she said slowly. I wanted to study it in college, but my mother said it wasn't practical. Too male-dominated, too blue-collar. You like buildings? I like how they're put together, how form and function meet, how a good building can change the way people feel. Sophia closed her laptop. But it's too late now. I'm 28. I'd have to go back to school, start over. So? So I can't afford school, I can't afford anything. Maria sat down across from her. Miss Sophia, can I tell you something? Of course. When I came to this country, I was 35 years old, no English, no education. I worked as a maid in hotels, cleaning toilets for minimum wage. Everyone said I was too old to change, too old to learn. She smiled, but I wanted more. So I took night classes, learned English, got my GED. Now I manage this house, I make good money, and my daughters both went to college. She reached across and squeezed Sophia's hand. It's never too late. You're young. You're smart. You have time. I don't have money. Money can be found. Time can't. Maria stood. Talk to Mr. Blackwood. He knows people. Maybe they can help. After Maria left, Sophia sat with the idea. Architecture. She'd loved it once, loved the way buildings could tell stories, how a well-designed space could feel like coming home. Maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe she could find a way. That night at dinner, she brought it up to Ethan. I want to go back to school, she said. Study architecture. He looked up from his plate. Okay. Okay? That's all you're going to say? What else is there to say? You want to do something? Do it. I'd need to take out loans, lots of them, and work while I study, and it would take years. So, you've got years. Ethan, I'm 28, and you'll be 32 when you finish. You'll be 32 anyway. Might as well be 32 with a degree you actually want. The simplicity of it hit her. He was right. Time would pass regardless. She could spend it building something, or she could spend it regretting that she hadn't. I'll need to find a job first, she said. Something flexible, maybe waitressing or retail. Or you could work for me. Sophia blinked. Doing what? I've got a dozen businesses, restaurants, clubs, real estate holdings. Most of them need managers, coordinators, someone with organizational skills and attention to detail. You've been helping me organize evidence for 2 weeks. You're good at it. That's different from running a business. Not that different. It's paperwork, logistics, making sure things run smoothly. You can do that. He leaned back. Plus it pays well. Flexible hours? You could work around classes. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you options. Take it or don't. But if you want to go back to school, I'll help make it happen. Consider it an investment in your future. Sophia stared at him. A month ago, she was planning a wedding, preparing to be a society wife, resigning herself to a life of charity galas and tennis clubs. Now she was sitting across from a man everyone called dangerous, discussing architecture school and business management like it was the most natural thing in the world. Why are you doing this? She asked. Doing what? All of it, helping me, supporting me. You barely know me. Ethan considered the question. I told you about Rachel, my brother's fiancée. She was supposed to have a future. She was supposed to be happy. And she didn't get that chance because people like the Hales and your father decided their business was more important than her life. He met her eyes. You get to have a future. You get to be happy. And if I can help make that happen, why wouldn't I? Something shifted in Sophia's chest. She'd spent her whole life around people who helped only when it benefited them, who gave with strings attached, who calculated every gesture. Ethan's generosity felt foreign, almost suspicious, but it was also genuine. She could see it in the way he looked at her, not like a possession or a weapon or a pawn, but like a person who deserved better than what she'd been given. "Thank you," she said, meaning it completely. "You're welcome. Now eat. Maria made her special paella, and she'll be offended if we don't finish it." They ate, the conversation shifting to easier topics. But something had changed between them. The alliance was deepening into something more, not quite friendship yet, but warmer than mutual benefit. Sophia could feel it, the way she'd started noticing small things, how Ethan took his coffee black with 1 sugar, how he read late into the night, usually history or biography, how he was patient with Maria's stories and kind to Marcus, despite the man's intimidating presence. After dinner, they returned to the study. The evidence was nearly organized, ready to be weaponized when the time came. Sophia reviewed another set of documents while Ethan made calls, speaking in rapid Spanish to various business contacts. Around 11, her phone buzzed. Elena's name appeared on the screen. Sophia almost ignored it, but curiosity won. She opened the text. "I need to see you, please, just once. There are things you don't know, things you need to hear." Sophia stared at the message. Part of her wanted to delete it, block Elena's number like she'd blocked Oliver's. But another part, the part that remembered teaching Elena to ride a bike and helping her get ready for prom, wanted answers. "What is it?" Ethan asked, noticing her expression. "Elena wants to meet, says there are things I need to hear." "You going to?" "I don't know, probably a bad idea." "Probably. But I want to." Sophia set down her phone. "I want to hear what she could possibly say that would justify what she did. What explanation could make it okay?" "Nothing will make it okay." "I know, but I still want to hear her try." Ethan studied her. "If you do meet her, do it somewhere public. Bring someone with you. Don't go alone." "You think she's dangerous?" "I think your family is desperate, and desperate people do stupid things." Sophia thought about it. About Oliver showing up with armed men. About her father's threats. About the way her mother had chosen the merger over her own daughter. Desperate didn't begin to cover it. "If I meet her, will you come with me?" She asked. "You want me there?" "I want someone on my side. Someone who won't try to manipulate me into going back." She paused. "Plus, if it goes bad, you're significantly more intimidating than I am." Ethan smiled slightly. "Fair point. Okay, set it up. Somewhere public, daytime, lots of witnesses." Sophia texted back, "Fine, tomorrow. 2 p.m. South Beach. The cafe near the pier, and I'm bringing someone with me." Elena's response came immediately. "Okay, thank you. I'll be there." That night, Sophia lay awake thinking about her sister, about the years of shared secrets and inside jokes and late-night conversations, about how Elena used to climb into her bed during thunderstorms, scared and small, about how Sophia had promised to always protect her. She'd broken that promise by walking away. But Elena had broken something bigger by sleeping with Oliver. Tomorrow would tell her if there was anything left to salvage, or if the sister she'd known was gone for good, replaced by someone Sophia no longer recognized. Outside her window, the bay was dark and choppy, reflecting no light. Somewhere across that water, her family was plotting their next move. But Sophia was done being reactive, done waiting for them to make the first strike. Tomorrow, she'd get answers, and then she'd decide what came next. She fell asleep to the sound of waves against the shore and dreamed of buildings that hadn't been built yet, foundations waiting to be laid, futures still unwritten and full of possibility. The cafe was crowded with the lunch rush when Sophia and Ethan arrived. Tourists in swimsuits and sunburns mixed with locals on break, everyone seeking shade from the brutal Miami sun. Sophia spotted Elena immediately. Her sister sat at a corner table wearing oversized sunglasses and a baseball cap like she was trying to go incognito. You want me to wait here or come with you? Ethan asked. Come with me, but maybe sit at the next table. Close enough if I need you, far enough that she'll actually talk. Got it. They approached together. Elena looked up, her face pale beneath the cap. She'd lost weight, Sophia noticed. Her cheekbones were sharper, her collarbones visible beneath her thin t-shirt. You came, Elena said, her voice small. I said I would. Sophia sat down across from her. Ethan took the table next to them, close enough to hear, far enough to give the illusion of privacy. Elena glanced at Ethan nervously. You brought him. I told you I was bringing someone. Did you think I'd come alone? I guess not. Elena twisted her hands together. Thank you for meeting me. I know you didn't have to. No, I didn't. Sophia kept her voice flat, giving nothing. You said there were things I needed to hear, so talk. Elena took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed, bloodshot. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I'm sorry, she started. You already said that. In your text. If that's all you've got, we're done here. No, wait, please. Elena leaned forward. I need you to understand. It wasn't planned. Oliver and I, it just happened. Things don't just happen, Elena. People make choices. I know we made a choice, a terrible choice, but it wasn't about hurting you. I swear it wasn't. Then what was it about? Elena looked down at her hands. When she spoke again, her voice was barely audible. He made me feel seen, like I mattered. You were always the special one, the smart one, the one everyone loved. I was just your little sister, the tag-along. And Oliver, when he looked at me, I felt important. Sophia felt anger surge through her. So you slept with my fiancé because you had self-esteem issues? That's your excuse? It's not an excuse. I'm trying to explain. There's nothing to explain. You wanted to feel special, so you destroyed my life. Congratulations. You got attention. Was it worth it? Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. No, it wasn't worth anything. I've lost you. I've lost Mom and Dad's respect. Oliver won't even talk to me anymore. He says I ruined everything. You did ruin everything. I know. Elena's voice broke. I know what I did. And I hate myself for it. Every single day I wake up, and I remember what I did to you, and I want to die. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm telling you the truth. You were my sister, my best friend, and I destroyed that for what? For a few stolen moments with a man who doesn't actually care about either of us? Who was only with you because your father and his father arranged it? Elena wiped her eyes roughly. He used me. He used both of us. And I was too stupid and desperate to see it. Sophia wanted to walk away. Wanted to tell Elena that her pain was her own fault and she deserved every bit of it. But something in her sister's voice stopped her. Not forgiveness. She wasn't ready for that. Might never be ready for that. But curiosity. What do you mean, arranged? Sophia asked. The engagement. It was set up. Oliver told me. Elena pulled out her phone, scrolled through it, then turned it to show Sophia. Read this. It was a text exchange between Elena and Oliver, dated 3 months before the wedding. Sophia read through it, her stomach turning with each line. Oliver. Your dad and mine have been planning this merger for 2 years. The wedding's just the final piece. Elena. Does Sophia know? Oliver. She knows it's good for business. That's enough. Elena. Do you love her? Oliver. I love what she represents. Same thing. Elena. That's sad. Oliver. That's reality. Rich people don't marry for love. We marry for strategy. There were more texts, more conversations where Oliver talked about Sophia like she was a business asset, where he complained about having to pretend to be interested in her art galleries and her charity work, where he made it clear the marriage was purely transactional. Sophia felt something cold settle in her chest. She'd known, on some level, that the engagement was about more than love. But seeing it spelled out so bluntly, so callously, made it real in a way it hadn't been before. When did this start? She asked, handing the phone back. About 6 months ago. We ran into each other at a bar. I was upset about something, I don't even remember what. He bought me a drink. We talked. It felt... Elena stopped. It felt like he actually cared what I had to say, unlike everyone else in our family who treats me like I'm still 12. So you started sleeping with him? Not right away, but eventually, yeah. I told myself it wasn't really cheating because you didn't love him either, because the whole thing was fake anyway. But that was just me justifying it. The truth is, I was jealous of you, of the life you had, and I wanted to take something that was yours. Sophia absorbed this. Part of her had suspected as much, that Elena's betrayal was rooted in sibling rivalry and resentment, but hearing it confirmed still hurt. Why are you telling me this? Sophia asked. Because you deserve the truth. About Oliver, about the marriage, about all of it. Elena leaned forward. And because I need you to know, when you walked in on us, that wasn't the first time. But it was supposed to be the last. Oliver said we had to end it. That after the wedding, he'd cut me off completely. So She swallowed hard. I wanted one more time. One more moment where I felt like I mattered to someone. You mattered to me, Sophia said quietly. I loved you. I would have done anything for you, and you knew that. You knew it, and you slept with him anyway. I know. That's all you have to say? I know? What else is there? Elena's voice was thick with tears. I can't undo it. I can't go back and make better choices. I destroyed our relationship, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I understand if you never forgive me. Sophia looked at her sister, really looked at her, at the shadows under her eyes, the weight she'd lost, the way she held herself like she was trying to take up as little space as possible. Elena was miserable, but misery wasn't the same as change, and sorry wasn't the same as undoing the damage. I don't forgive you, Sophia said. I don't know if I ever will, but I appreciate you being honest with me. Finally. Elena nodded, tears streaming freely now. What are you going to do? Mom and Dad are losing their minds. They want you to come home. They're talking about interventions and lawyers, and I'm not coming home. But where will you go? What will you do? I'm going back to school, study architecture, build a life that's actually mine. Sophia stood. And you're going to figure out who you are when you're not living in my shadow. Because this, she gestured between them, this jealousy, this competition, it's pathetic. We're grown women. We should be better than this. I want to be better. Then be better. Stop waiting for men to make you feel important. Stop comparing yourself to me. Find something you actually care about and do it. Be someone worth knowing. Sophia, I have to go. Sophia turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I hope you figure it out. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, but you're not going to find it by destroying other people. She walked away, Ethan falling into step beside her. They didn't speak until they were back in the car, pulling out of the parking lot. You okay? Ethan asked. I don't know. She told me the truth. About Oliver, about the engagement being arranged. It should make me feel better, knowing I wasn't crazy, that it really was as fake as I thought. But it just makes me angry. At her? At all of them. At my parents for treating me like a bargaining chip. At Oliver for being so casual about it. At Elena for being so desperate for attention that she'd sabotage her own sister. Sophia stared out the window. At myself for not seeing it sooner. You trusted them. That's not a character flaw. Feels like one. They drove in silence for a while. Sophia's phone buzzed, her mother calling again. She declined it. I want to do it, she said suddenly. Release the evidence. Expose what the Hales did, what my father helped them do. All of it. Ethan glanced at her. You're sure? I'm sure. They've spent years protecting their reputation at the expense of everyone else. Your brother, Rachel, me. How many other people have they hurt? How many other lives have they destroyed to protect their precious business interests? She turned to face him. You said you were waiting to make sure you hit the right targets. I'm telling you, hit them. Hit them hard. Once we do this, there's no taking it back. I know. Your father will go down too. Maybe not prison, but his reputation will be destroyed. The company he's built, he made his choices. Now he gets to live with the consequences, just like I have to live with mine. Ethan pulled over, turning to look at her directly. I need you to be absolutely certain, because when this goes public, your family will come after you with everything they have. They'll try to discredit you, paint you as unstable, vindictive. They'll drag you through the mud. Let them try. I'm not the same person who sat on those church steps 3 weeks ago. I'm not afraid of them anymore. Something like pride crossed Ethan's face. All right then, we'll do it. But we do it right. Press conference, lawyers present, everything documented and verified. Make it impossible for them to spin. When? 3 days. That gives me time to finalize everything, get the media lined up, make sure all our ducks are in a row. 3 days. In 3 days, Sophia would officially burn every bridge to her old life. 3 days until she became the woman who destroyed her own family's legacy. She should feel scared, guilty, uncertain. Instead, she felt free. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Lawyers reviewed the evidence, making sure everything was admissible and airtight. Journalists were contacted, promised the story of the year. Sophia practiced her statement, the words she'd say when the cameras were rolling and there was no taking any of it back. The night before the press conference, she couldn't sleep. She found Ethan in his study as usual, going over documents one final time. Having second thoughts? He asked when she appeared in the doorway. No, just nervous. She sat in the chair across from him. What happens after? After we release everything and the fallout starts? Depends. The Hales will probably be indicted. Federal investigation, criminal charges. Your father might avoid prison, but his business relationships will be destroyed. The company will take a massive hit, maybe collapse entirely. And us? We'll be targets. The Hales have friends. People who benefit from their corruption. They won't go down without a fight. Is it worth it? All this destruction? Ethan set down his pen. My brother died in prison for crimes he didn't commit. His fiancée killed herself because she couldn't live with the grief. Their baby, my niece or nephew, never got a chance at life. Was it worth it for the Hales to destroy them? To steal their company and their future? No. Then yes, it's worth it. Justice doesn't come cheap. Sometimes you have to burn things down to build something better. Sophia thought about that. About the life she'd been living, comfortable, privileged, built on foundations of corruption and lies. About the life she could build instead, harder but honest, earned rather than inherited. I'm scared, she admitted. Good. Anyone who's not scared before doing something this big is either stupid or lying. Ethan stood, moved around the desk to sit beside her. But fear and courage aren't opposites. Courage is doing the thing even when you're terrified. You sound like a motivational poster. He laughed. Fair, but it's true. They sat together in the quiet of the study, the weight of tomorrow pressing down on both of them. Sophia thought about Elena, miserable and lost. About Oliver, who'd probably convince himself none of this was his fault. About her parents, who'd chosen money over their daughter, and were about to pay for it. Do you think people can change? She asked. Really change, I mean. Not just say they will, but actually become different? Some people can. Most don't. Change requires admitting you were wrong, and most people would rather die than do that. Ethan looked at her. But you've changed. In 3 weeks, you've gone from someone who'd never questioned her family to someone who's about to destroy them. That's change. Or that's just me finally becoming who I always should have been. Maybe that's the same thing. The morning of the press conference, Sophia woke early. She dressed carefully. A navy suit, professional but not flashy. Minimal makeup. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wanted to look credible, trustworthy. Not like the unstable runaway bride her family would try to paint her as. Ethan was already downstairs talking to the lawyers. When he saw her, he nodded approval. You look good. Ready? As I'll ever be. They drove to the law firm in silence. The press conference was set up in a large conference room, cameras and microphones already in place. Sophia could hear the murmur of reporters gathering, the anticipation thick in the air. Last chance to back out, Ethan said quietly. I'm not backing out. Good. They walked in together. The room fell silent. Sophia took her seat at the table, lawyers on either side, Ethan standing behind her. She looked out at the assembled press and felt her heart hammering against her ribs. Then she remembered Oliver's hands on her, proprietary and entitled, her father's cold dismissal, Elena's betrayal. The 6 years Ethan had spent collecting evidence for a brother who died alone in prison. She remembered who she'd been and who she was becoming. Sophia cleared her throat and began to speak. 3 weeks ago, I was supposed to get married. Instead, I walked in on my fiancé with my sister and I left. What I didn't know then was that my engagement wasn't about love. It was about business, a merger between my father's company and the Hale family's empire. She paused, letting that sink in. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled notes. What I also didn't know was that the Hale family built their fortune on fraud. 6 years ago, Michael Hale orchestrated the wrongful conviction of an innocent man, Marcus Blackwood. He falsified evidence, bribed witnesses, and destroyed Marcus's life to steal his company. Marcus died in prison. His fiancée and their unborn child died by suicide. And my father knew. He helped cover it up because it benefited his business interests. She gestured to the lawyers, who began distributing folders of evidence, bank records, emails, testimony, everything Ethan had spent 6 years collecting. This isn't about revenge, Sophia continued, though her voice shook slightly. This is about accountability, about people in power facing consequences for their actions. The Hales and my father have hurt countless people. They've lied, cheated, and destroyed lives, and they did it all while hiding behind respectability and wealth. A reporter raised her hand. Miss Morrison, your family claims you've been manipulated by Ethan Blackwood, that you're not thinking clearly. How do you respond? I'd say I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. For 28 years, I did everything my family wanted. And it led me to a wedding that was really just a business transaction. Staying with Ethan, that was the first real choice I made for myself. And yes, he has his own motivations, but at least he's been honest about them. Another reporter. What do you hope to accomplish with this? Justice. For Marcus Blackwood. For his fiancée Rachel. For everyone else the Hales have hurt over the years. And maybe, if we're lucky, deterrence. Maybe the next powerful family will think twice before destroying innocent lives to protect their bottom line. The questions kept coming. Sophia answered them all, her voice growing stronger with each response. Ethan stood behind her, silent support, while the lawyers fielded the legal technicalities. When it was over, Sophia felt drained but light, like she'd set down a weight she'd been carrying for years. Outside, Ethan's phone started ringing immediately. The media storm had begun. That was good, he said. You were good. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. Come on. Let's get out of here before the follow-up questions start. They made it back to the car. Sophia's phone was exploding with calls and texts, her mother, her father, numbers she didn't recognize. She turned it off completely. What now? She asked. Now we wait. The investigation will take months, maybe years, but the damage to their reputation is immediate. And my family will probably never speak to you again. Sophia nodded. She'd expected that. It still hurt, but it was a clean hurt, like ripping off a bandage. They drove back to Star Island in silence, but when they pulled into the driveway, Sophia saw police cars. Lots of them. What the hell? Ethan muttered. They got out carefully. A detective approached, badge out. Ethan Blackwood, we have a warrant for your arrest. On what charges? Kidnapping, false imprisonment, extortion. The detective pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. This is ridiculous, Sophia said. I'm here voluntarily. I just gave a press conference saying so. Miss Morrison, we need you to come to the station as well. Give a statement. I'll give you a statement right now. I'm here by choice. No one kidnapped me. No one imprisoned me. We still need an official statement. Downtown. Sophia looked at Ethan. He nodded slightly, calm despite the handcuffs being secured around his wrists. Call David, he told her. David was his primary lawyer. Tell him what happened. He'll handle it. Ethan, it's fine. This is just your father's last move. It won't stick. He was led to one of the police cars. Sophia watched, her heart in her throat, as they drove away with him. This was the fallout Ethan had warned her about. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. She called David, then she called the press, because if they were going to play dirty, she'd play dirtier. By the time she got to the police station to give her statement, there were cameras everywhere. The statement took hours. Sophia repeated over and over that she'd never been kidnapped, that she'd chosen to stay with Ethan, that all the charges were false and motivated by revenge. They released Ethan 6 hours later, all charges dropped. Insufficient evidence, clearly false claims. But the damage was done. News outlets had already run with the story. Alleged kidnapper released. Questions surrounding Morrison heiress claims. "I'm sorry," Sophia said when they finally left the station, both exhausted and wrung out. "For what?" "For getting you arrested. That wasn't you. That was your father." Ethan rubbed his wrists where the handcuffs had been. "And it backfired. Now he looks desperate, like he's willing to file false charges to silence his own daughter. Is it always going to be like this? Constant attacks?" "For a while, yeah. Until the investigations conclude. Until the Hales are indicted. Until your father realizes he's lost." Ethan looked at her. "You can still walk away. This isn't your fight." "Yes, it is. They made it my fight when they tried to use me, when they lied to me, when they chose business over being my family." Sophia's jaw set. "I'm not walking away." "Good, because I could use the help." The next few months were brutal. The investigation into the Hales moved forward, slow but thorough. Michael Hale was indicted on fraud charges. Oliver tried to distance himself from his father, claiming ignorance, but the evidence was damning. The company's stock tanked. Business partners fled. The empire started to crumble. Sophia's father avoided criminal charges, but his reputation was destroyed. Morrison Holdings lost contracts. Investors pulled out. He was forced to sell the company just to avoid bankruptcy. Elena called once, crying, begging Sophia to make it stop. Sophia hung up. There was no making it stop. There was only letting justice run its course. Through it all, Sophia started school. Architecture classes at the University of Miami, paid for with loans and a part-time job managing one of Ethan's restaurants. It was hard work, juggling classes and testimony and the constant media attention. But it felt right in a way nothing else ever had. She designed buildings in her spare time, drew plans for houses and galleries and libraries, created spaces that felt like home. And somewhere along the way, her relationship with Ethan shifted. The alliance became friendship. The friendship became something more. Nothing dramatic, just quiet moments of understanding. Hands brushing over shared documents. Conversations that stretched into the early morning. The feeling of being known, really known, by someone who didn't want her to be anything other than what she was. 6 months after the press conference, on a warm June evening, Ethan found Sophia on the back patio, sketching. "What are you working on?" he asked. "A house. In Tuscany, actually. I've been thinking about it. A villa overlooking vineyards, stone walls, big windows, lots of natural light. Sounds nice. I think I want to build it, someday. When all this is over and we can breathe again." Ethan sat beside her. "What if we built it together?" Sophia looked up from her sketch. "What?" "A villa in Tuscany. Fresh start, away from Miami and all this mess. We could turn it into something. A hotel, maybe, or a winery. Something that's ours." "That's..." Sophia searched for words. "That's a big step." "I know. But I've spent 6 years living for revenge. I'm tired of it. I want to build something instead of just tearing things down." He met her eyes. "And I want to do it with you, if you want." Sophia felt something warm bloom in her chest. Want. When was the last time someone asked what she wanted instead of telling her what she should want? "I want that," she said quietly. "I want all of it. The villa. The fresh start. Building something instead of destroying. Even with me, knowing who I am, what I've done. You're not perfect, neither am I, but you've been honest with me. You've never tried to control me or use me. You've just..." She paused. "You've just let me be myself. That's more than anyone else has ever given me." Ethan smiled, real and warm. "Then let's do it. Finish school, wrap up the investigation, and then we go. Start over." "Start over," Sophia repeated. She liked the sound of it. The investigation concluded 18 months after the press conference. Michael Hale was convicted on 12 counts of fraud and sent to prison for 15 years. Oliver Hale avoided charges, but his reputation never recovered. He left Miami, last Sophia heard, moved somewhere out west to start over under a different name. Sophia's father lost everything: the company, his social standing, most of his money. Her mother divorced him, took what was left, and moved to Atlanta. Sophia received one letter from her, brief and cold, saying she hoped Sophia was happy with what she'd done. Sophia didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Elena reached out sporadically, usually drunk, usually crying. Sophia never answered. Some bridges, once burned, weren't worth rebuilding. 2 years after that December night on church steps, Sophia graduated with her architecture degree, top of her class. She had job offers from 3 major firms. She turned them all down. Instead, she and Ethan moved to Tuscany. They bought land overlooking rolling vineyards and olive groves, views that stretched for miles. And they started building. The villa took 18 months to construct. Sophia designed every detail: the stone archways, the terracotta tiles, the windows that caught the morning light just right. It was a labor of love, every room intentional, every space crafted to feel like home. They turned part of it into a small boutique hotel, the rest into living quarters. It was modest by Morrison family standards, but it was theirs, built with their own money and effort. Maria came to visit for the grand opening, along with Marcus and a few of Ethan's people who'd become friends over the years. They drank wine from the local vineyard and watched the sunset over the Tuscan hills. "You did good," Maria told Sophia, hugging her tight. "I'm proud of you. Thank you for everything, for being there when I needed someone. That's what family does. Real family, anyway." Real family. Sophia looked around at the people gathered. Marcus laughing at something Ethan said, the hotel staff who'd become like siblings, the friends they'd made in the small town nearby. This was family, not blood, not obligation, just people who chose each other and kept choosing each other. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Sophia and Ethan sat on the terrace. The air was warm, smelling of jasmine and wine and possibility. "Do you ever regret it?" Ethan asked. "Leaving Miami? Your family? All of it?" "No," Sophia said honestly. "I regret how it happened. I regret being lied to for so long. But leaving, building this, I don't regret any of it. Not even the hard parts. Especially not the hard parts. The hard parts taught me who I actually am, what I'm capable of." She looked at him. "Do you regret it? Spending 6 years on revenge?" I regret that it took me that long to realize revenge isn't the same as justice, and that justice doesn't bring people back." He paused. "But I don't regret meeting you, or this, building something instead of just destroying." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out over the vineyard. Somewhere in the distance, church bells rang. Sophia thought about another church, another time, when she'd sat on cold stone steps in a ruined wedding dress with nowhere to go. She'd come so far from that girl, from the person who'd valued other people's approval over her own happiness, who'd been so desperate to be loved that she'd accepted crumbs and called it a feast. "I'm happy," she said, surprised by how true it was. "For the first time in my life, I'm actually happy." Ethan took her hand. "Good. You deserve to be." Sophia squeezed his hand back. She thought about justice and revenge, about family and betrayal, about the difference between being chosen and choosing yourself. She'd learned hard lessons, paid steep prices, but she'd also learned that sometimes the life you're supposed to have and the life you actually want are two completely different things. And choosing the life you want, even when it costs you everything you thought you needed, is the bravest thing you can do. The villa stood behind them, lights glowing warm in the windows. Tomorrow there'd be guests checking in, problems to solve, work to do. But tonight, there was just this: the warm air, the stars, the quiet knowledge that she'd built something real out of the ashes of everything she'd lost. Sophia Morrison was nobody's bargaining chip anymore, nobody's transaction, nobody's perfect daughter or runaway bride. She was just herself. And that, finally, was enough. Years later, when people asked about her past, and they always asked because the Morrison scandal had been legendary, Sophia would tell them the truth. That she'd walked away from a wedding and found herself instead. That she'd lost a family built on lies and built a new one based on choice. That the worst day of her life had been the beginning of the best chapter. She never sugarcoated it, never pretended it had been easy or that she hadn't mourned what she'd lost. But she also never regretted it, because the alternative, marrying Oliver, living a lie, staying small and acceptable and controlled, that would have been the real tragedy. Elena got sober eventually. Sophia heard it through mutual acquaintances. Her sister had joined a recovery program, gone to therapy, started working at a nonprofit. They never reconnected. Some wounds were too deep, some betrayals too fundamental. But Sophia hoped Elena found whatever she was looking for, hoped she learned to value herself without needing to diminish someone else. Oliver disappeared entirely. No social media, no public presence. Sophia occasionally wondered if he'd learned anything, if he'd become capable of seeing women as people rather than assets. She doubted it. But that was his problem now, not hers. Her parents never reached out. Not when she graduated, not when the villa opened, not even when the architectural magazine did a feature on her work. The silence was complete, final. It hurt less than she'd expected. You can't miss what you never really had. But the life she'd built with Ethan, that was real. The villa grew, expanded. They added a vineyard, started producing their own wine. Sophia designed other buildings in the region, developed a reputation as an architect who understood light and space and how to make stone feel warm. They got married on a hillside overlooking the property. No guests except Maria and Marcus. No fancy dress or cathedral. Just two people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their separate destructions, choosing to build something beautiful together. And every year, on the anniversary of that December night, when she'd sat on church steps in a wedding dress she never wore down the aisle, Sophia raised a glass, not to what she'd lost, but to what she'd found. Not to the life she'd been told to want, but to the life she'd fought to create. To freedom. To truth. To the courage it takes to walk away from everything safe and build something real instead. To choosing herself again and again, even when it cost her everything. Because in the end, that was the only choice that mattered.